about the history inside many of our church buildings in Greater Manchester. James Balme is from Warrington and is the history columnist for Cheshire Life magazine. I bet you never knew they had a history columnist, did you? He's also got his own YouTube channel documenting many churches across Cheshire. I'm delighted to say he joins me in the studio now. A very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
And we'll start off with the important thing. So, the YouTube channel, tell me about that.
YouTube channel. Back in 2006, I'd been doing quite a bit of off and on TV bits about the history I was uncovering because I did a lot of metal detecting and archaeology. And I got in with Time Team, came down to do a dig over at Warburton in Cheshire with me for the 2007 series. And that lit a spark in my head because I'd been doing small films for a while. And this baby called YouTube was being born.
Yeah.
And I thought, here's an opportunity to share the history with people that I'm finding. Anyway, we roll forward from there. The films are going well. I'm doing various films from Middlewich with the Roman festivals, the Norman festivals. And then I start doing more films towards sort of churches and older buildings. I thought, I'm onto something here. This is really, really interesting. So the channel grew and grew. And then I was actually, in 2019, for some reason, I thought, I've got to take this by the horns because I'd slowed down. My mum had been poorly and I've been looking after her. And she got a lot better. So I bought new cameras, new drones, new computers and everything and started making the films. By March 20, I'd had a phone call from Cheshire Life. We love what you're doing. Will you come and do a history column for us?
Wow.
So I went, yes, okay. So literally coming up to 2 years on that. But going back to the channel, I started filming outside the churches, researching the history, going into the churches, walking through the churches, showing people all the artefacts, everything within the church, and explaining the history of the church. But I also bought a drone with 4K video.
Oh, they're magnificent.
Thought, let's see what I can do here. And I didn't fly it for 2 weeks. I was that nervous. Got used to using the drone, and it just brought the films to life because the films would start where I'm flying in towards the church, and we're not flying at 60 foot above the church, we're flying through the steeple, we're flying through the turrets and along the side of the churches, and then that would cut to me presenting on the ground. And it was absolutely fantastic. The quality of the films were coming out really good. There were 4K video. And then I noticed people in America, Australia, Canada who contacted me and saying, we're seeing these films, we're expats. My Auntie Joan is in that graveyard. This sort of thing.
Can we see the picture?
Exactly. Absolutely. But a lot of people who are doing genealogy and looking into the family history are saying, my father's buried at, say, Overpeaver Church, and we've seen your film, and you've given us such a link between our ancestors and the church. We've never been to the church. We live in Canada or whatever. So it really has spun up, and it's just getting bigger and bigger all the time.
How long can you keep it going? I mean, one would have thought there is enough information and stories out there to go forever, but I'll let you answer.
Up to now, I've done 40 churches in just under 2 years, so that's quite some going. And I do everything from writing the scripts to presenting to producing the films and putting them on final edit and getting them out there. 40 churches is nothing in Cheshire.
No.
Probably another 40 to go, at least in Cheshire itself.
Let's... Dirty question. Are you making any money from this?
I'm obviously making a little bit from the history column, but in March 2020, COVID came along. I was put onto furlough for a year, so that was the time to really knuckle down and get on with this. Then last November they said to me, do you want to come back on a part-time basis, or do you want to take redundancy? You've been here 15 years. I saw the green light, everything going the way I want it to go, took the redundancy, put that into the bank. That's part funding what I do at the moment. But that's what I want to do. I want to put my heart and soul into doing these films.
How long do you think it'll be before one of the broadcast channels come to you and say, we want to do a series?
I'll pop downstairs and ask. I'm hoping,
Very good.
The thing is that they're out there, the films are out there across the world. Any broadcaster can watch them. I often tag in BBC ITV with the films. Never hear anything, but that's expected. But Jimmy McCracken contacted me last week and said, love what you're doing, I've got an idea. So I thought, what sort of idea can this be? So what Jimmy's asked me to do is on Radio Merseyside, maybe once a month, is to do a history feature for 15 or 20 minutes. So I'm going to be doing one next Thursday, but I won't say where it is at the moment. It might upset Jimmy giving the story away at the moment. But that's another opportunity that's coming through the system.
How enjoyable is what you do?
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. It's not a job. It's not a job at all. I love the research, I love writing the scripts, and on a typical day of filming, I've already arranged with the churches to go and do the particular church. I go down, lovely. You can imagine if you've got a lovely sunny morning, I go early, I drone all the church, then I spend the day just presenting it inside and outside the church. The only difference I've got really at this moment is I do everything, camera work, everything. Have a camera crew with me, I think it just launch it completely.
Yeah. And the other thing is, you mentioned doing the drones flying into the church from wherever.
Yeah.
Drones now indoors, these things are so efficient that you can, fly down the pews and that kind of stuff.
You literally could, but I've not been that brave just yet.
That's why I mentioned it.
And the reason I say that is drones, especially mine, are controlled by 18 satellites in the sky.
Oh,
that positions it exactly.
Right, okay.
If you go into a church and you haven't switched off your satellite navigation, the first thing the drone does, it says I'm lost, and it goes up 100 feet. And the last thing you want to do is say to the vicar,
buy a new roof.
I've just broken your church. Yeah.
So, just to round off, if somebody wants to see some of your work now, how do they find it?
Very easy. There's two ways to do it. You can either go onto Google and just Google my name, or the channel name is Tvpresenter4history, but it's number 4. It's all one word, Tvpresenter4history. Or go into YouTube and just type my name in, all that, and it'll bring the channel straight in. You've got 650 films to start with.
And is there any church anywhere, cathedral, whatever, that you really want to do that you haven't done as yet?
Yeah, one that I really want to do at the moment is Chester Cathedral. I'm already talking to St John's Church nearby, which dates back to the 9th century, and they're keen. And I'm doing some filming in the next couple of weeks in Shotwick at an 11th century church. Now, what's really beautiful about this is I'm working with the church, National Churches Trust and Explore Churches. They're using my films on their channels, and a lot of the churches and the vicars are actually putting my films onto their church website for everybody to see, and it works really, really well.
Well, James, I have to say this. When I heard that we were doing this story, I had no idea what to expect. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you very much indeed for taking time to be with us. Let me give the address, by the way, youtube.com/TVpresenter4, that's the number, history. TVpresenter4history. Carry on the good work, sir.
I must fly.